Hastur, the King in Yellow. From the haze of the mythos emerges Hastur, an amorphous great old one cloaked in the title of the King in Yellow. Don't picture royalty in robes and crowns. Hastur is closer to a shifting, tentacled shadow that infects minds through stories and art. His influence corrupts playwrights, painters, even anyone reckless enough to chase inspiration too far. The name began harmlessly in Ambrose Bierce's Haita the Shepherd, 1891, where Hastur was just a pastoral god. Robert W. Chambers twisted it into something far darker, a cursed play called The King in Yellow, a story so maddening it unravels readers' sanity. Lovecraft later tied Hastur into his mythos, keeping the details vague but hinting at cults whispering his name in The Whisperer in Darkness. August Dearleth expanded his role, naming Hastur Cthulhu's half-brother and giving him avatars like the Feaster from afar, tentacled monsters that shred minds as easily as flesh. What makes Hastur terrifying isn't what you see, it's what spreads after. He's less a monster than a contagion of despair, an idea that crawls into your imagination and refuses to leave. Dagon, beneath the crushing waves lies Dagon, not the Mesopotamian god of fertility, but Lovecraft's sea-dwelling patriarch of horror. He made his first appearance in the 1919 short story Dagon, where a shell-shocked WWI veteran washes ashore on a volcanic seabed and stumbles onto a gigantic monolith carved with fish-like symbols. Then the colossal creature rises from the deep, scaled, slimy, and impossible, sending the man spiraling into madness. In the broader mythos, Dagon becomes the father of the Deep Ones, amphibious humanoids who live in underwater cities and mate with humans. Their hybrids surface in the shadow over Innsmouth, a story where small-town fishing folk carry disturbing aquatic traits and pledge eternal loyalty to Dagon and his consort, Mother Hydra. Dagon is no benevolent god. He's the head of a cold, alien theocracy beneath the sea, dragging humans into his lineage and binding them to a heritage as suffocating as salt water filling your lungs. He isn't a symbol of prosperity, he's a reminder that something ancient is always watching from the deep, waiting for the tides to rise. Tsathoggua, deep in Hyperborea's forgotten ruins lurks Tsathoggua, the slothful toad god, imagined by Clark Ashton Smith. Picture a squat, fur-covered creature with bat-like features, drooping lids, and a lolling tongue. Less terrifying hunter, more grotesque nightmare that's constantly half asleep. He debuted in The Tale of Satampra Zairos, 1929, where explorers encounter his monstrous idol in a crumbling temple. His followers, the Vormes, furry, cave-dwelling humanoids, worshipped him even after his age of glory passed. His true servants, though, are far worse. The formless spawn, puddles of black ichor that ooze through cracks and dissolve flesh like acid. Lovecraft later referenced him in The Whisperer in Darkness and at the Mountains of Madness, though Tsathoggua himself never takes the stage. And honestly, that fits. He's not the type to go rampaging, he prefers to sleep, but disturb him, and the god will wake long enough to devour you, or your sacrifice, before slipping back into narcotic slumber. Tsathoggua embodies lazy dread, a cosmic terror too indifferent to chase you until you wake him up. Hounds of Tindalos. Some monsters chase you through the woods. The Hounds of Tindalos chase you through time. Created by Frank Belknap, long in 1929, these creatures lurk in the angles of time, unlike humans who exist in curved, flowing time. To us, a corner is just a corner. To them, it's a doorway. The hounds seep through sharp angles, 120 degrees or tighter, as smoke before manifesting into forms so alien they can't be fully described. If you've ever thought an empty corner felt off, this is why. They hunt beings who meddle with time, and once they've marked you, there's no running. Their proboscises pierce flesh to drain victims dry, leaving behind slick blue ichor, unlike anything on Earth. The horror of the hounds isn't just in their violence, it's in the inevitability. Once you've drawn their attention, every room, every corner, every angle becomes a trap. Gla'aki, the Undead. Lake god forget deep oceans. Sometimes terror lurks in quiet lakes. Ramsey Campbell introduced Gla'aki, a great old one, as a massive slug-like horror covered in gleaming metallic spines. These aren't just for show. His quills pierce skulls, inject fluid, and turn humans into undead servants bound to his will. Gla'aki slumbers in a lake in England's Severn Valley, watching with tentacles tipped in eyes that peek through the water like patient stalkers. His cult is a mix of living and undead thralls who write under supernatural compulsion, producing a text called The Revelations of Gla'aki. These writings spread his influence like an infection, commanding his servants to raise crystal towers and lead armies of decay. Unlike Cthulhu's grandeur or Dagon's empire, Gla'aki is a quieter corruption, wrought from within, a parasite that replaces free will with devotion. Lakes look calm on the surface, but beneath Gla'aki waits, spines ready to harvest another mind. SCP-3000. SCP-3000 is the kind of monster that makes the ocean itself feel hostile. Imagine a moray eel stretched to impossible size, coiled somewhere in the Hadal depths where no light reaches. But this isn't just a big sea serpent. Its presence warps the human mind. Get too close and your thoughts start dissolving. Memories blur, identity fragments, and your sense of self peels away like layers of paint in salt water. The Foundation discovered something even worse. This monster produces a chemical they desperately need. Amnestics, the drugs used to erase memories of the anomalous, are harvested from SCP-3000's own biology. But here's the paradox. To extract that chemical, agents must approach the creature, knowing full well they'll lose parts of themselves to its psychic aura. The very act of preserving secrecy requires human sacrifice, not in blood, but in memories, personalities, and sanity. So SCP-3000 isn't just a predator, it's an ethical snare. The Foundation must keep feeding it, and in turn, it keeps feeding on them. It's not just survival, it's slow, bureaucratic damnation at the bottom of the sea. Aboleths, alien fish gods of memory, D&D. In Dungeons & Dragons, Aboleths are some of the most ancient horrors ever written, primordial fish-like overlords that predate gods themselves. Massive, slimy, and psionic, they lurk in sunless waters, weaving schemes older than human history. Every Aboleth is born with the complete memory of its ancestors, centuries upon centuries of lived experience. When they enslave or consume others, they absorb their memories too, building an endless archive of knowledge that fuels their superiority. Aboleths control cities through psychic domination and their revolting mucus cloud, which transforms victims into water-breathing thralls. They're not fiery tyrants. They're calm, calculating manipulators who see surface dwellers as intruders squatting on their planet. They don't just embody aquatic horror, they embody inevitability. Patient, ancient, and endlessly scheming, Aboleths remind us that some things in the deep don't die. They wait. Elder Brain. The Elder Brain is what happens when evolution decides that a single brain is better than a civilization. Picture a pulsing mass the size of a house, suspended in brine, its surface veined and twitching with psychic electricity. Every mind flayer in a colony is bound to it, their thoughts networked into a hive where individuality is more suggestion than fact. When a mind flayer dies, its brain doesn't rot. It gets absorbed into this central intelligence, memories, and knowledge dissolved like sugar in water. The Elder Brain grows not just in size, but in power. Every death feeding its supremacy. It doesn't just rule, it is the colony, a tyrant made of neurons. And here's the darker truth. Mind flayers don't merely obey, they revere it. To them, the Elder Brain is God, master, and executioner. They worship what will one day consume them, knowing that their death means their very selves will be erased, their identities dissolved forever. Worship and fear become indistinguishable because their deity isn't separate, it's waiting to devour them.
Subscribe for more interesting stuff. Tell us your experience in the comments.